Hello, church. I'm just coming you to today and coming here and wanting to talk to you. We've been locked in, as you know, and doing lots of preparation and trying to get ready for when the time comes what we can do. And one of the things I've been getting ready for is to plant a garden, and we're in the process of trying to start seeds. And I wanted to show you something I had here. This is one of those trusty seed starter kits. And there are 70 trays in there that have seeds in them now. And if you were to look, you would see absolutely nothing. They were planted, those were planted on the 19th, but you wouldn't see anything because they haven't germinated yet. And I have a whole bunch of seeds here, and they're good seed. But if you look on the back, each one gives you a possible time of germination. This says sprouts in 10 to 20 days. These ones say sprouts in approximately 20 days as well. Some are a little faster. This one says it will sprout in 16 to 21 days. This one, they hedge their bets. They're 10 to 21. And another one, this one is 10 to 12 days, so a little faster. And these all happen to be peppers, and this one is 16 to 20 days. I started those the earliest because they're the ones that take the longest time to grow. But what I wanted to talk to you about is this concept of starting seed. We put seed in the ground, and it's not an instant process. These ones tell you about the time you might start to see small plants poking through. But I want to compare that to the spiritual lesson that it teaches. See, God plants seed in each one of our lives. As a matter of fact, Scripture tells us God plants good seed in each of our lives that plant benefit and blessing and good things for us. However, it doesn't always sprout in the same amount of time in every person. Just like these peppers, and I have another flat full of tomatoes, they won't sprout at the same time. They all grow at slightly different times. They mature at slightly different times. They will bear fruit at slightly different times, and many of them have been designed to do that. So you can plant three plantings, and an early one will come on earlier, and then in the middle of the season another one will come on, and you'll have another crop that's a late season crop. God works the same way. He plants seed in our lives, and we're called to be fertile soil, to be a place for that seed that God planted to grow and be cared for and to come to maturity and to bear fruit. You've probably heard that the fruit of the Spirit is a development of that seed that God planted in our lives. And we all know from the fruit of the Spirit, kindness, gentleness, peace, love, all those things, fruit of the Spirit. When the good seed of God finds a home in our lives. We know the parable of the sower, and how some seed fell in places where it got choked out by the world. And some seed found fertile soil, some seed found rocky soil. I guess they were talking about Worcester there, because all of our soil is rocky soil. But all of the different benefits, and it's what it said was, what the problem with good seed in thorny soil was the thorns, the cares of this world would grow up and choke out what the seed was trying to develop. And I want to encourage you today to remember that God has planted good seed in each of you. As a matter of fact, he said, I only plant good seed. He said, in any of the weed seed that comes up, he said, that was not planted by me. That was planted by the enemy, or maybe planted by the world. When we started these small plants, we bought bagged soil, and the big benefit to that is starting out with soil that has no weed seeds in it. When we plant in the garden and we just plant in the ground, we hoe and we rake and we do all those things and we prepare the garden bed, but still there are other seeds that blow in on the wind that are deposited by birds flying over that come into that garden in a million ways, and they're not good seed. They're not the seed that we've sown in there to grow. They're something that the world placed there. And we know that we have to go back and weed and hoe and take care of those plants so that those weeds don't overtake and choke out the crop we're hoping to grow. The scripture I wanted to share with you is from book of Matthew, and it talked just about that. It says, the one who sows the good seed is the Son of Man. In a field, the field is the world, and the good seed are the children of God and children of the kingdom. The weeds are put there by the enemy, the evil one. That's Matthew 37 and 38. And then, of course, we have another descriptor of that sowing in Mark 4:8. It said, other seed fell on good soil and brought forth grain, growing up and increasing and yielding 30, 60, or 100-fold of what was planted. If we nurture what God has planted, it'll pay a return. There'll be a harvest, there'll be a crop. And the crop that we're hoping for is the likeness of Jesus Christ that will be so attractive to the world that they'll come to know Christ. That's our call. That's the season we're in. And just like we're preparing now to put plants in a garden, now that we're driven to a time of introspection and peace, might be a good time to prepare our hearts, prepare our minds, prepare our souls for that crop that Jesus wants to nurture in us. This may be a way to take away the distraction of all those weeds that pop up in our lives. You know, the things that have to be done in the busyness and going to meetings and going to classes, and of course our children are involved with a ton of activities and running here and running there. And now, maybe for the first time for some of us, there's some quiet time. There's time that has not been already dedicated to something else. And I would submit to you, maybe that's a time to dedicate to finding out what God has planted in you and what He's trying to tell you. Well, I hope this is a season of preparation for you that bears a great harvest later on. And you'll look back sometime and say, you know, I grew more and learned more in that time when we were in quarantine than practically any other time in my life. I hope you go this week with God's blessing and an ear tuned to His voice. God bless, and peace be with you. Amen.